It was April when I started this journey. During the winter, I became a member of a magic mushroom forum and was learning all I could about growing magic mushrooms. I tried it once before and only grew a yellowish green mush that smelled of sweaty socks, but this time would be different. I had tried mushrooms before about 10 years prior to the experience, and it was rather enjoyable. I've had way too many bad experiences with LSD to ever think about trying it, and from what I remember, the mushroom experience was much less chaotic and harsh for me than a majority of all my acid trips had been. After following every tip I could gather and about a month and a half of waiting, I have viable mushrooms drying in the food dehydrator. The whole journey from spore print to fruit was done for reasons I don't have a great grasp on. I was thinking at the time that growing them would impart some spiritual meaning into my experience. It had been a long time since I had taken any illegal substance, and I wanted it to be special in some sort of way. Growing them myself was an attempt at providing that, I guess. The night I took them, I really wasn't planning on doing so. I was bored out of my wits and chatting with online friends. I told them that I was going to eat my mushrooms, but didn't know how much to eat without a scale. I took a few pics of my intended dose and posted them, and immediately got advice to cut that dose in half. So, with my wife asleep, I went down to the kitchen and made a concoction of purple slushy powdered mushrooms and gulped it down. I came back up and told the chatters that the deal was done and I was taking a shower and would be back once the fun started. In the shower, about 5 minutes, when I felt like a rush of consciousness was being pulled away from my body. I was fighting to keep it with me. It felt as though if I had let it float away, I would have had a full out-of-body experience. But for some reason, I felt compelled to hold on to it. I quickly turned off the water and looked down at my feet. They seemed miles away. That is when it hit me that the shrooms were kicking in. Out of the shower, and I put on the same clothes I came in with and headed upstairs. The shower is in the basement of the house, and there is a door at the top of the stairs. Opening the door, the light from the kitchen blasted my eyes, and I got a good gauge of how far along in the experience I was. I could see that the kitchen floor looked smooth and had a liquid-like texture, but before I could survey anymore, my black cat ran down in the basement. I didn't want to forget about him down there, and I never really thought that I could just leave the door open and shoo any memories of our herd that wandered down there after my trip. I trotted down the stairs and scooped them up and started my way back up the stairs. Half up, a brown blur flew down the stairs as another cat dove into the basement. I tossed a black one in the kitchen and went after the brown one. I was picking up the brown one, the black one came downstairs again, and I scooped them up too. Now I'm carrying 2 cats up the stairs. At the top of the stairs, the door is wide open, and I see our other 3 cats had come to investigate the commotion. As I made the final push to the top, they all jumped into action like they planned it in advance. I started laughing hysterically, let go of the cats in my arms, and sat at the top of the stairs as I watched all the cats bounce down the stairs. I found the whole situation funny. Here I am coming up hard on mushrooms. I can feel the confusion building every second, and I have to figure a way of getting all 5 cats out of the basement. The time dilation had manifested, and minutes were seeming to take longer and longer. My plan was to go down and capture 1 cat at a time and usher them up the stairs. Once I got to 5, the task would be complete. I raced down and grabbed the first cat I came across and ran up to the landing and tossed it, pretty forcefully, up the last 3 steps into the kitchen so it would get the point that I didn't want them down there. Back down I went and did the same thing. That's 2 and 3 to go. I was getting more confused by the minute, and onto the 4th cat. I forgot how many cats I had previously ushered up the stairs. Facepalm. On my way back down, I decided to count the cats downstairs, and that would let me know how many cats were upstairs. Unfortunately, the whole time I neglected one key detail of my foolproof plan. The door was still open. Just as I reached the basement floor, the whole herd came stampeding down again. Plan A was an utter failure. Formulated just as quickly as Plan A was Plan B. Cats have got all names, right? I will count the cats as I bring them up and remember the name of each cat so that I don't lose track like the last time. Brilliant. I thumped back downstairs and grabbed Funchy, the black one, and take him upstairs. He quickly tries to run back down, and I push him back and close the door. Back downstairs, I grab another cat. Sammy, number 2, I think, as I put her upstairs and close the door behind me. At this point, my mind is worn out. Things are moving very well, and walls have waves in them and on them. It is all but impossible to keep my mind on the task at hand. Those two things, coupled with the fact that the time dilation is making the last 5 minutes chasing these beasts feel like I have been at it for hours, is making this fool's errand about as much as my brain could handle in its current state. I trudge on, trying to complete the task and grab another cat, but again, at the top of the stairs, I forgot where I was in the order. I put that cat upstairs and tried to count the cats up there to give me an idea of how many were left. But of course, they aren't in the kitchen anymore. And again, it escapes me that if I just keep bringing cats up until I run out of cats to retrieve, I will be done with this clusterfuck. Unable to think past my current predicament, I race around upstairs looking for the cats that I had brought up, and they were nowhere to be found. My state had grown worse, and I started thinking that maybe they got outside, but there was no way they could get outside because no one opened the door. The door! I forgot to close the fucking basement door. I ran back into the kitchen and down the stairs for the 50 quadrillionth time, and bam! There were all 5 cats, safe and sound. I had found the missing cats. Hallelujah. They weren't outside. My wife would have killed me if they were gone. Me, all high and shit, and the cats going missing? I might as well pack my stuff and go. What a relief. I have my kittens. Are we still in the basement? I'm done. My mental ability is gone. Each trip up and down felt like an eternity. I had only just gotten enough energy to get upstairs to the couch. I kneel by the couch and think about what am I doing. I'm mentally exhausted because apparently counting to 5 is impossible while on mushrooms. My mind racing to come up with a solution to this impossible problem, and never once did I think of just leaving them down there until they found something more entertaining to do than drive me out of my mind. The white flag was up, and it was over. It was 2 or 3 a.m. and my wife had to get up to go to work in the morning, but I had no choice. I needed to be an adult. I had to wake up my wife. She would make it all better. She would tame those damn hellions and it would be all fine, but it wasn't fun. I went upstairs to our room and woke her in the gentlest way possible by jumping on the bed and yelling, "Help! I took mushrooms! 5 cats in the basement and I can only count to 4. Not the way I had envisioned it going down in my head, but I was happy to get that much out without forgetting the reason I woke her up in the first place. Sleepily, she had marched down the stairs and I led her into the kitchen where the basement door was still wide open. All I could do was stand at the door and point down the stairs. I think I may have whimpered too with my gesture. She was not amused. I thought I was finally going to get closure. She would get the cats from the basement and I would be saved, but no. My savior turned to tormentor as she gave me the only words that could crush me even more into a pitiful state. "Well, go get him," she said. She didn't understand that I was fighting this fight for what seemed like days now and wanted nothing more than to curl up in the corner and cry until I fell asleep. She had no clue how close I was to breaking down. Tears welled up as I crossed the threshold of the basement door and descended again into my personal hell. I scooped up the kitty and carried it slowly upstairs, setting it on the kitchen floor. "1," my wife said in a long, drawn-out voice like she was talking to a 2-year-old. Back down I went and grabbed another bundle of joy and soaked it upstairs, only to be ashamed again by a long, drawn-out 2. By the 3rd cat, short, audible sounds were coming from me as I was almost at the breaking point. My wife began to laugh at me and seemed to laugh harder each time I came up, even more beaten than before. When the last cat had came up, I was greeted by a sighing 5, and "Now was that so hard?" from my wife. I tried to apologize, but she waved me off with a stern, "We'll talk about this in the morning," and walked upstairs to bed. The cat ordeal was over, but the trip was far from it. I was immensely grateful to my online buddies who talked me into halving the dose because the rest of the night was filled with confusion and mind-bending and intense time dilation. Not really a bad trip, as bad trips go, but not at all enjoyable. I think I can cross mushies off the list of viable boredom relievers. Won't be doing them again anytime soon, that's for sure. To people giving me advice on how to have a good trip, you make the mistake that most drug users do. You assume I am a novice at insert drug here and just need your guidance. Let me assure you, I am pretty experienced. The number of different substances I have taken is quite extensive. My LSD experience are in the 50 plus range. I have given the same advice to other people countless times. Sometimes you just say F it and eat all of it. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. For me, the majority of my LSD experiences were tough to get through. So much so that the mere thought of taking it again gives me anxiety. I will not be taking it again, so feel free to eat my share along with yours. I wouldn't say I'm 100% done with shrooms, but given that their effects are similar to LSD, the stars would have to align so perfectly, and having another psilocybin experience was the only practical option in that moment, so the chances are next to none that I will ever eat them again. I have to say again, it's good to see people telling their own psilocybin experiences. The movement is still alive and growing every day. It may not be in our lifetimes, but someday people like us will be able to experience any substance they want without fear of imprisonment. I hope I'm here to see that day, even if I'm too old and frail to take the journey myself. Hope you guys enjoyed today's story. Now, thank you so much for listening. Credits to the Redditor, Matt2012BI, for posting this story to Reddit. Posted 9 years ago. Go check him out. So before I end this off, I want to thank everyone who watched my last video, which was my first time recording anything pertaining to the drug LSD, psilocybin. Thank you a ton, and yeah, I think I'll be posting a lot more of that type of content since you guys seem to like it a lot. So once more, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. So don't forget to sit back, relax, and indulge in fear.